Welcome back, class 9, to the online chemistry classes. We had already started chapter 3, water, and in the previous class we studied about the physical properties of water, like water has a boiling point of 100 degree, freezing point is 0 degree C, the density of water being 0.997 gram per cubic centimeter. Pure water is a covalent compound and it is a bad conductor of heat electricity. Then we studied about the anomalous expansion of water, in which we found that the water molecule has unusual property. When it is cooled, it contracts in volume, means its volume will decrease. At 4 degrees centigrade, its volume will keep on expanding, and this will cause the freezing. Till the freezing of water, this expansion will continue, and that is how this property of anomalous expansion of water is beneficial in those lakes which are frozen, because the upper layer is made up of ice and it prevents the lower layer of that lake to be converted into ice, and that helps the aquatic organisms to survive due to anomalous expansion. Then next we have to study specific latent heat of fusion. A specific latent heat of fusion is the amount of heat required to change 1 gram of ice into water at 0 degree C. So what is the meaning of a specific latent heat of fusion? A specific latent heat, latent means hidden. So the temperature, the amount of heat required to change 1 gram of ice into water at 0 degree C is called specific latent heat of fusion, means melting, in which the process of changing of solid into liquid is called fusion or melting. So amount of heat required to raise or to change 1 gram of ice, that is solid form of water, into liquid form is called latent heat of fusion. And the specific latent heat of fusion of ice is 336 joule per gram. This is the specific latent heat of fusion of ice. The same amount of heat will be released when water freezes to form ice, means the vice versa, opposite is also same. Whatever amount of heat is released in changing of ice into water, the same amount of heat will be there when water will be converted into ice. And it is on account of this property that lakes and rivers, they do not freeze suddenly. So if question is asked, why lakes and rivers, river water do not freeze suddenly, means all of a sudden, answer is due to a specific latent heat of fusion. Okay. Then second point is a specific latent heat of vaporization. Same specific latent heat of, here fusion is there, now vaporization. So what is the definition of this one? A specific latent heat of vaporization says the amount of heat required to change 1 gram of water into steam. 1 gram of water, that is H2O, into steam at 100 degrees C. You know that water changes into steam, that is water vapor, at the boiling point, that is 100 degrees C. So how much heat is required to change 1 gram of water into steam is called specific latent heat of vaporization. Okay, and it is calculated to be 540 calorie per gram. Means in order to change 1 gram of water into steam, 540 calorie of energy is needed. Okay. Now next one, due to high specific latent heat of vaporization, because vapors or steam has more latent heat of vaporization, steam causes severe burns as compared to the boiling water. So although the water is boiling at 100 degrees C and even the steam is also converted water is converted into steam at that 100 degrees C only, still it has more harmful effect. Like if your hand gets burnt with steam, that is the water vapor, it will cause severe burns or serious burns as compared to the water which is boiling at 100 degrees C. So what is the reason behind it? It is the specific heat of, latent heat of vaporization is more, that's why. Now next we have a specific heat capacity. What is the definition of a specific heat capacity? It is defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of a substance by 1 degree C. How much heat is required here? That is called a specific heat capacity. Like if you take 1 gram of water and you want to raise its temperature to 1 degree C extra, like if the water temperature is now 25, you want to make it 26, how much heat is required? That is called a specific heat capacity. For water, the specific heat capacity of water is 4.18 joule per gram degree C. Joule per gram degree centigrade. This is the specific heat capacity of water. It is very high as compared to other substances. And due to high specific heat capacity of water, because water has a very high specific heat capacity, it is used as a coolant in radiators of the cars to decrease the temperature of the engine of car. Okay, the presence of large amount of water is able to modify the climate of the nearby areas, making them warmer in winter and cooler in summer. You have heard about in geography, land bridge and sea bridge. It is the land and sea bridge, that is the wind which comes from one place to the other and helps in cooling the temperature of the either places. So it is created due to a specific latent heat of water. Now next one is conductivity. Pure water is a very poor conductor of heat and electricity. Means if you take pure water, neither current will pass through it nor the heat can be easily passed through it. But if we add some solute like salt in it, dissolved salt, it will increase the conductivity, because now the salt will be dissolved in that water and it will increase the conductivity of that water. Then comes solvent properties. Already we had studied that water is a very good solvent. Of course it is called universal solvent, and there were 4 reasons behind it. One being dielectric constant of water is very high. Dielectric constant means the water molecule has the capacity to break the electrostatic force of attraction. Electrostatic force of attraction means it occurs between 2 oppositely charged particles. So if positive and negative charges attract each other, they will attract towards each other. This force of attraction can be broken down in a molecule of the substance which is to be dissolved in water due to high dielectric constant. Okay, you know that water molecule is polar in nature. Why? Because H2O is there, this hydrogen being positively charged and the oxygen are negatively charged. So water molecule shape is like this. So that's why it is called polar in nature. Polar means having 2 different charges. Positively charged hydrogen is also there and negatively charged oxygen is also present. So due to the presence of 2 different charges, it is polar in nature. And next one is solutions after that. What is solution? Next topic. Solution is a homogeneous mixture of a solute and a solvent. So what is the definition of that solute and solvent? Homogeneous means, first of all, uniform composition. Suppose if I take a beaker containing water in which the salt is dissolved, salt solution is there, salt solution. It means the amount of salt particles will be equal everywhere. If I take some amount of solution from here or from the upper part of that liquid, it will have same taste. Why? Because of uniform distribution of that solid molecules in the solvent, that is the water. Okay. So next we have to study what is solute and solvent. What makes a solution? The substance that dissolves in a solvent is called solute. Example, they are generally solid. Sugar is a solute. because it dissolves in water, water being the solvent. So homogeneous mixture has uniform composition. An important condition for formation of solution is that the substance which are present, they should not react chemically. There should not be any chemical reaction between water and the salt molecules. Only physical reactions should be there. No such chemical reactions should occur to form the solution. So solid means solution has two parts, solute and solvent. So definition of solute is the substance that dissolves in a solvent is called solute. Okay, in a medium, to produce a solution, in your book also definition given, the substance that dissolves in a medium to form a solution is called solute, and the medium in which a solute dissolves, medium in which a solid dissolves is called solvent. Generally, you know that water is universal solvent. Apart from water, there can be milk also, in which we can dissolve sugar. There can be alcohol also, in which different water molecules can be dissolved in the alcohol also. Apart from that, benzene, ether, and so many different types of solvents can be there. So generally the substance which is present in less quantity is the solute. The one which is present in large quantity is the solvent. Like if you take a sugar solution, sugar is present in less quantity, that forms the solute, and water being present in large quantity forms the solvent. Then next, in a solution, sodium chloride in water, if you take sodium chloride, that is salt in water, sodium chloride is the solute and water is the solvent. In a solution of iodine in alcohol, iodine is the solute and alcohol is the solvent. So solute plus solvent is equal to solution. So you can write a formula also, solute plus solvent is equal to solution, and learn the definition of both of them. So in the above example, sodium chloride and iodine are the dispersed phase, because sodium chloride and iodine, both of them are dissolving in water, whereas the water in which sodium chloride dissolves is called dispersion medium. So what is dispersed phase and dispersion medium? The solute is called the dispersed phase, and the solvent in which the solute dissolves is called dispersion medium. So solution can also be defined as a homogeneous molecular dispersion of one or more substances. So that is a new definition of solution. Solution is a homogeneous mixture of, a solution is a homogeneous molecular dispersion of one or more substances. A homogeneous molecular dispersion of one or more substances is called a solution. So what is solution? Solution, this new definition you can learn. Solution is a mixture of solute and solvent, that also you can say, or you can say it is a homogeneous molecular dispersion of one or more substances. Okay. Now in a solution, the proportion of solute and solvent can be different. Like you can take 100 ml of water, or you can take 500 ml of water. You can take 10 grams of solute, or 50 grams of solute, or 100 grams of solute. It depends on your wish. It can vary or change. Solid can also be liquids or gases. So it can be different types of solids can be used. We'll study about the different. Water is the most common solvent, but it is not only solvent. There are other solvents which are used. Like now next we'll study about types of solutions, in which a chart is there. First one is, you know that matter exists in all three different forms: solid, liquid and gas. Now if we talk about all these three forms, we can studied about the different types of solution. First one, solid in liquid, means in a liquid solid is present. Example, you can take salt solution or sugar solution, because liquid is the water and salt is the solid. Second, solid in gas. In gas the solid is present. You can take the example of the smoke which comes from the vehicles or from the factories that contain the carbon particles. So next one is solid in solid, means one solid is present in another solid, dissolved in another solid. The best example you can say is the alloys. Alloys is a mixture of, homogeneous mixture of two or more metals. So we take the metals in the liquid state, after melting them they change into liquid state, and then we mix them to produce a new metal which is called alloy. Alloy is a mixture of metals. So it is solid in solid mixture. The fourth one is liquid in liquid. Of course you can take water and milk, both are liquid in condition. Other examples also you can give, alcohol and water. Then gas in liquid. In the liquid gas is present. The best example is the cold drinks, that is carbonated drinks, in which carbon dioxide is filled or soluble in the liquid state. Soda water. Then next is gas in gas. Of course the best example is air is a mixture of gases. So many gases are present in a sample of air. Then liquid in gas. The best example of liquid in gas is the fog or the mist which appears during the winter season, in which we find that liquid water drops are present in the water vapor. Then next we have the gas in solid. In solid the gas is present. The best example is hydrogen gas present in a metal called palladium. Okay. Then we have to study about the types of solutions. Next. Okay, next you can see I have written on the board dilute solution. Dilute solution means a solution in which there is less solid. Solid is less, solvent is more. Like taking 1 glass of water and hardly 1 or half a spoonful of sugar in it. That will make it a very dilute solution. It will not appear or taste sweet also. So dilute solution means the solution in which amount of solid is relatively small as compared to solvent present in it. Then second one, number B, concentrated solution. Concentrated solution. Best example I will give you, the sugar syrup which is available in the market. Example you can say orange squares and all. So what is there? It is concentrated. Even the milk, Amul Taja and all which comes, it's concentrated. So concentrated means more solute. The solute is present in large quantity in a given amount of solvent. So if you put more and more sugar syrup in a particular solvent, the sugar syrup will become concentrated, and that will give you the squares and all. So when you have to take a squares, you need to put some amount of squares and make it dilute by adding water to it in order to make it fit for drinking. The solution in which amount of solute is large as compared to the amount of solvent. Means solute is more than solvent. Like this you can learn solute is greater than solvent. Then the solution becomes concentrated. Using this formula you can learn. Here you can write solute is less than solvent. Less than, greater than, okay. Then third one is saturated solution, number C. Saturated solution. Saturated solution means if any solution is saturated, we say, means now no more solid can be dissolved in it. Such a solution that cannot dissolve any more solute in it is called saturated solution. If no more solid can be dissolved at a particular temperature. Now how can you prepare a saturated solution? Take an amount of solvent like distilled water in a beaker, then add a small amount like 1 gram of solute and stir it vigorously with the glass rod or the spoon, because at home you don't have the glass rod. In the lab we have the glass rod. Once you find that it is completely dissolved, then take some more sugar in it and try to stir it till it is not dissolving. Now a time will come when the sugar crystals will remain there at the bottom. They will not dissolve. Why? Because now the solution has become saturated. Then you have to filter it. Then such a solution is called saturated solution, and they are the one which are remaining now because they are not soluble now. So filtrate which is obtained is saturated at that particular temperature. Now in a saturated solution, if you want to add some more solute, like add more and more sugar to it, it can be done if you increase the quantity of solvent, that is add more water to it, then more solid can be dissolved, or you can increase the temperature by heating or by increasing the amount of solvent. We can add more solid to a saturated solution. So what is the definition of saturated solution? First, that one you will learn. A solution in which no more solid can be added. A solution in which no more solid can be added. Now if you want to add more solid, that can be done by increasing the temperature, or by increasing temperature or by adding solvent, that is increasing the solvent. We can add more solid. We can add more solid to a saturated solution. So if you want to add some more solid to a saturated solution, either you need to increase the temperature, like if you heat them, as while making in the fruit, this one sweet shop you may have seen, while preparing different types of sweets, they add more sugar into the syrup and keep on heating it till the syrup is not ready. So they can dissolve more and more sugar in it just by heating it. So by increasing the temperature, or if you add more and more water in it, then you can dissolve some more sugar, that is the solid. Now next we have unsaturated solution. A solution, saturated we studied just now. Next one, number D, is unsaturated. Unsaturated solution means a solution in which more solid can be added is called unsaturated solution. It can dissolve more solid at a particular temperature. Then comes supersaturated solution. What is the meaning of supersaturated solution? A solution is called supersaturated at a particular temperature if it holds more of the solid than that present in a saturated solution at the same temperature by heating it. Like just now I told you that by increasing the temperature we can add more solid to a saturated solution. So I am adding more and more solid to a saturated solution by heating it. Now a time will come that no more solid will dissolve in it. Then such a solution which is prepared by adding more solid to a saturated solution is called supersaturated solution. Okay. Then next we have solubility. What is solubility? Solubility is the property of a substance by which it can dissolve in a particular solvent. It depends on many factors. So solubility of a solid in a particular solvent at a particular temperature is the maximum amount of solid which can be dissolved in a fixed quantity of solvent to form a saturated solution at that particular temperature. Like solubility of solid is generally said or expressed in terms of grams dissolved per liter. So it can be in the form of grams per liter. Okay, grams per liter. It means in 1 liter of that solvent, suppose water, how much grams of that solid can be dissolved. And then you will find that a substance which has, some terms are there, any substance which has negligible solubility, means it will not dissolve anything in it, none of the solid, they are said to be insoluble. Like silver chloride, it cannot dissolve, so silver chloride is insoluble. On the other hand, a substance which is in between insoluble and negligible but less than high solubility, means in between them, neither fully highly solubility and not negligible solubility is there. In between them, if it is present, it is called sparingly soluble. And those substances which are easily dissolved or which has very high solubility, they are called soluble or high solubility. So example of a sparingly soluble substance is calcium hydroxide. Okay. Now in your book some examples are there. In 100 gram of water at 20 degrees C, the solubility of some substances like potassium chloride is 34 gram. Of that of calcium chloride is 74.5, that is 74.5 gram. Of potassium iodide is 144 gram, whereas sodium nitrate 88 gram. Of sodium nitrate 88 gram per 100, that is per liter. Here it is given in 100 gram of water. In 100 gram of water, 88 gram of sodium nitrate can be dissolved. So solubility of sodium nitrate is 88 gram per 100 gram of liquid or the solvent. Okay. So next one is a comparison between solution, mixture and compound. So what are the differences between all the three? Like solution, first one, the solute is not present in any fixed amount, but composition is uniform. In case of mixture, there is non-uniform composition of components. It can be in any amount in the mixture. It's not fixed that how much solid or how much solvent will be there. We can take in any amount in mixture. But a compound is the one in which the constituents, that is the substance which makes a compound, they are present in a fixed amount. Like water molecules is, say, it has the fixed molecules of hydrogen and oxygen, two molecules of, like 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. So they combine in the ratio of 8:1 by mass. Then second point, in solution, the solute can be recovered, means we can obtain the solute by the physical means, that is by heating, by boiling, we can get back the solute. In a mixture, the components can be separated only by physical means, but in a compound, if you want to separate hydrogen and oxygen, that is the components of a compound, that can be done only by chemical means, not by physical means. Okay. So today up to here only. You can write your name in the comments after watching the video, and then next we can study about factors affecting the solubility of a solid in a liquid. Okay. And you remember I had told the word polar. When a neutral molecule has a positive area at one end and negative area at the other end, it is called a polar molecule. So water is a polar molecule because it has a bent shape and oxygen is more electronegative than hydrogen. So today this much only in chemistry. So as homework, what you can do, as I had said, you can write that table and write the definition of dielectric constant, then solution, and all those specific latent heat of fusion, vaporization, specific heat capacity, definition of different types of solution like dilute solution, saturated solution, unsaturated solution, supersaturated solution, and definition of solubility also. So this much only as homework you can do. Thank you.